Dolphins owner told to fire Mike McDaniel as HC unable to handle Tyreek Hill drama. Look, Mike McDaniel might be the media's golden boy right now, but he always has been. But at some point, we've got to ask the real question. Does he actually deserve all the hype? Since day one in Miami, it's been nothing but love. Reporters can't get enough of his quirky personality. Players talk about how cool the vibe is, and every press conference clip gets the viral treatment. But when you strip away the charm and look at the actual results, it's not exactly a glowing resume. 3 years in, 0 playoff wins. And 2024? A clear step backward. Now the locker room feels shaky with drama bubbling. Hello, Tyreek Hill. The shine is wearing off and fast. In a recent episode of the Herd podcast, Colin Cowherd brought a brutal truth to life. Mike McDaniel isn't the coach the media thinks he is. 8 games into his Miami stay, Flores had established elite special teams and elite defense. McDaniel is 3-4 years in, and his win percent is even lower. He's got such favorable press. 14 different coaches have made playoffs since he arrived. He's not one of them, he said. You can fact-check or counter all you want, but Cowherd has got a point. When Mike McDaniel showed up in Miami back in 2022, the hype was real. It felt like the Dolphins finally had their guy. Year 2. They go 11-6, people are talking Super Bowl dark horse. And then boom, bounced in the wild card again. That followed a 9-8 rookie season. Progress. Then came 2024. And it all kind of fell apart. 8-9, no playoffs, and suddenly the excitement turned into questions. His overall record still above water at 28-23, but that losing season broke the momentum hard. Is the McDaniel actually moving forward, or just spinning his wheels with a good press conference? And when you stack him up against Brian Flores, it gets even murkier. Flores went 10-6 in 2020 and 9-8 in 2021, and he did it without the kind of offensive firepower McDaniel walked into. By week 8 of his second year, Flores had the defense ranked 6th in points allowed, and special teams were quietly one of the best units in the league. Meanwhile, under McDaniel, that side of the ball's gone downhill fast. In 2024, the Dolphins finished 25th in total yards allowed. Since McDaniel showed up in Miami, 14 other coaches have taken their teams to the playoffs. And the Dolphins weren't one of them. In an AFC packed with young stars and teams flipping the switch fast, McDaniel's squad just hasn't kept up. But it's not just McDaniel's record that's been brought to light. McDaniel's Hill treatment reinforces Colin's claim. What frustrated Colin more than McDaniel's performances was how he had been handling the Tyreek Hill situation. Do you think Belichick would have put up with that? He would move off that guy. Andy Reid did move off that guy. Mike is smart, but a lot of smart people aren't great football coaches. Tyreek hasn't been punished, and I just think the best coaches in this league set a certain standard. But no one calls McDaniels out, he said. You'll need some context. Tyreek publicly questioned whether Devon Achane was really built for short yardage situations. Not exactly what you want to hear from your star wideout talking about a young teammate. Reporters brought it to McDaniel, and his response? I thought that was genius reporting by Tyreek. Remember the pregame traffic stop last season? Or that weird moment when he told reporters, "I'm out, bro," before walking it back later? What did McDaniel do? Pretty much nothing. Not publicly, at least. And that might have arguably led Hill to keep doing whatever he wants on the biggest platforms. The head coach, on the other hand, just stays quiet, hoping it'll blow over. The result of that leniency? Just 2 days after McDaniel talked about how important it is for players to be on time and fully locked in during practice, Tyreek Hill was reportedly nowhere to be seen during team stretch on Sunday. And that's not surprising. That's the standard Mike has set. No matter what you say or do, you won't face the consequences. And perhaps Tyreek knows it. When Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross stepped off his private jet onto South Florida's sweltering tarmac, he expected to be greeted with optimism. Instead, his phone buzzed with yet another headline. Tyreek Hill unleashed. I'll say what I want. Coach can't handle me. It wasn't just another soundbite. It was gasoline on a fire that had been quietly burning all offseason. And now, inside league circles, executives and former players were all asking the same question. Has Mike McDaniel lost control of his locker room? Some, including powerful voices on NFL Network and ESPN, weren't mincing words anymore. If Mike McDaniel can't handle Tyreek, former Pro Bowler turned analyst Marcus Spears said bluntly, then Ross needs to find someone who can. Because right now, that locker room looks leaderless. The flashpoint. Tyreek Hill, the electric, outspoken all-pro wide receiver, had always walked a fine line between confidence and controversy. But in recent weeks, his behavior had tipped toward the latter. An unfiltered podcast rant where he mocked defensive teammates. Sideline tension with position coaches caught on camera. A cryptic Instagram post reading, "Can't be coached by someone who ain't been there." And when asked if he respected Coach Mike McDaniel's leadership, Hill's response was more telling for what he didn't say. "I respect the organization, and I respect winning," Hill said, flashing a grin. Leave it at that. The coach who used to have the room. McDaniel was once hailed as the quirky genius who brought life to Miami. The Ivy League mind with swag. The offensive wizard who unleashed Tua and turned the Dolphins into must-watch TV. But genius only works when the players buy in. And now, the buy-in was fading. Insiders say tension between McDaniel and Hill started late last season, when Hill began freelancing routes and ignoring timing-based instructions. At first, McDaniel let it slide. After all, Tyreek was producing. But when production dipped in crucial games and McDaniel attempted to reel him in with stricter schemes, that's when things got ugly. Ross's dilemma. Stephen Ross, the longtime owner known for his patience, now finds himself in a rare and uncomfortable position. Firing a coach who took Miami to consecutive playoff berths would draw criticism. But allowing his team's most high-profile star to publicly undermine leadership, without consequence, would be worse. "This isn't about X's and O's anymore," said a league executive close to the situation. "It's about culture. And culture starts at the top. If Tyreek's setting the tone, then McDaniel's lost the steering wheel." Ross has already fielded calls from former NFL head coaches and prominent agents sensing blood in the water. The message: Tyreek can't be traded. So maybe the coach has to go.